We're always told that to get massive results, you need to take massive action. But what if that's not quite right? What if the real secret is something way smaller? The idea we're diving into is that these tiny, almost unnoticeable improvements you make every day, they don't just add up, they multiply. And that powerful principle, it's called the compound effect. All right, to really get this, let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself here. Which would you choose? $3 million in cash right now, or a single penny that doubles in value every single day for 31 days? Now, I know what you're thinking. Most people, they just grab the cash. And hey, it seems like a no-brainer, right? At first, anyway. But this is where things get interesting, because this choice perfectly shows how our brains can get tricked by slow, early progress. I mean, look at this. After 10 days, that penny, it's worth a measly $10. Big whoop. Even at day 20, you're only at about 5 grand. You'd be feeling pretty silly for turning down the 3 million. But if you just stick with it, if you're patient, by day 31, that one little penny has exploded into over $10 million. Now that is the power we're talking about. So what does this all mean? The big takeaway here is that the compound effect isn't about some huge life-altering event. No, it's the principle of getting these incredible rewards from a series of small, smart choices that you make over and over and over again. Think of it like this. These tiny actions are the building blocks, the little atoms that construct the entire world you want to live in. Okay, so this brings us to the very foundation of it all, your choices, your control. Because everything, and I mean everything, starts with a choice. Every single outcome in your life, the good and the bad, you can trace it all back to a bunch of tiny, seemingly harmless decisions you've made day after day. Let's make this super clear with a story about 3 friends. We've got Larry, Scott, and Brad. And the important thing is, they're all starting from the exact same point. Same job, same weight, same relationship status. Larry, well, he just keeps doing what he's always done. Scott, he decides to make a few small, positive changes, like reading 10 pages of a good book each day. And Brad, he makes a couple of tiny, seemingly harmless bad choices, like eating a few extra empty calories. For the first few weeks, even months, nothing looks different. And this right here is why those little choices are so powerful. It's a chain reaction, you see. You make a choice, repeat it enough, and it becomes a behavior. Once that behavior is on autopilot, it's a habit. And what are your habits? Well, they're the things that ultimately decide your destination. It's a simple, predictable path. So if you want to steer that ship, you have to grab the wheel, right? And that starts with this one mindset, this one idea. You are 100% responsible for everything in your life. Look, blaming the economy, your boss, your past, it might feel good for a second, but it completely robs you of your power to actually change things. So how do you actually take control? It's really a 2-step process. Step 1, like we just said, is taking 100% ownership. No excuses. Step 2, you've got to gain awareness by tracking. It's so true that you can't improve what you don't measure. So many of us are just sleepwalking through our lives. The way to wake up is to start tracking your actions, even in just one key area of your life. Just see where your money or your time or your calories are really going. So what happens when we fast forward a bit? Let's check back in on our 3 friends, say 31 months later. The difference is absolutely staggering. Scott, the guy reading 10 pages a day, he's got a promotion, he's lost 15 kilos, and his relationship is thriving. And Brad? Stagnant at work, 15 kilos heavier, and his relationship is on the rocks. Think about that. That's a 30-kilo difference between them, all from those little, tiny, daily choices. See, the compound effect is always, always working, whether for you or against you. Okay, so once you're aware and making better choices, the real game changer is turning those choices into automatic behaviors, putting them on autopilot so they work for you. And that brings us to the next part, the engine of it all, habits. There's this great story about a man galloping on a horse. Someone shouts, "Where are you going?" And the man just yells back, "I don't know, ask the horse." And honestly, that's how most of us live. We're not directing our habits are directing us. And yeah, they'll take you somewhere, but unless you grab the reins, it's probably not where you actually want to end up. So how do you take back control? To break a bad habit, you need a game plan. It starts with identifying your triggers. What sets you off? The who, the what, the where, the when. Then, you've got to clean house. Change your environment to make that bad habit harder to do. But here's a key thing. Don't just leave a void. You have to replace it with something better. And finally, you've got to decide your strategy. Are you going to go cold turkey or ease into it? And building good habits? Well, it's basically the reverse. You design your environment for success. Instead of thinking about all the stuff you're giving up, focus on what you're adding to your life. And this one is huge. Get some accountability. Tell people what you're doing. Find a partner in crime. And don't forget to celebrate the little wins. That's what keeps you in the game. But listen, all the systems and strategies in the world, they're not enough. Because your willpower, it's like a battery. It's going to run out. The thing that keeps you going when you're tired and want to quit is your why power. That's the deep down emotional reason you're doing this in the first place. If you don't have a big, powerful why, trust me, any how is eventually going to crumble. All right, so once you have good habits in place and they're fueled by a strong why, something magical starts to happen. The effort doesn't feel so hard anymore. Progress starts to build on itself. And this is where we get to talk about the awesome power of momentum. Here's a great way to think about it. A space shuttle uses more fuel in the first few minutes of liftoff than it does for the rest of its entire journey around the Earth. Wild, right? That's because breaking free from inertia, just getting off the ground, takes a massive amount of energy. But once you're up there, once you're in motion, it takes way less effort to stay in motion. The hardest part is almost always just getting started. Now, there are two huge things that can either fuel or kill your momentum. The first is what you put into your mind. Seriously, think about it. If you're constantly feeding your brain a diet of negative news, mindless social media scrolling, and gossip, you can't possibly expect to have positive, high-quality thoughts. It's simple, really. Garbage in, garbage out. The alternative, you guessed it, you have to consciously fill your mind with clear water. That means actively choosing to consume things that build you up. Personal development books, podcasts about skills you want to learn, inspiring stories. A great hack for this is turning your commute into drive time university. Put on an audiobook, listen to something that teaches you. This stuff compounds just like everything else does. And the second major influence on your momentum, your people. The people you hang out with. You've probably heard the saying from Jim Rohn, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It is so true. The people around you, they literally set the bar for your expectations, your ambitions, and what you even think is possible. So, choose your circle very, very wisely. Okay, so you're making good choices, you're building solid habits, you've got momentum on your side. What's next? The final piece of this puzzle is about finding your edge. It's about what to do when things get hard, because they will get hard. And this is what separates the good from the truly great. Look, everyone hits a wall. Everyone gets to a point where the workout gets tough, the project gets boring, the diet gets hard. Darren Hardy calls these moments of truth. And here's the secret. That exact point where you feel like quitting, that's the moment most other people do quit. Which means it is your single greatest opportunity to accelerate and leave them all behind. So how do you accelerate? It comes down to 3 things. 1, when you hit that wall, push just a little bit further. Just one more rep, one more page. 2, beat expectations. When someone expects a good job, you deliver a great one. You always do that little bit extra. And 3, do the unexpected. You look at what everyone else is doing, and you choose to do something different. That's where the real advantage is. And, when you put all this together, it leads to this really profound shift in how you see things. Success stops being this thing you have to chase down. Instead, it becomes something you attract by the person you become. It's about focusing on your character, your habits, your growth. You don't get success. You become the kind of person who is successful. So as we wrap this up, it really all boils down to one simple thing. The entire massive power of the compound effect we've been talking about, it's all unlocked by the very next choice you make. So the question isn't about some grand plan for next year or even next week. It's about right now. What is the one tiny choice you're going to make today?